Watching my screens here in the desk, and I can see that there's an event going on in the West Block, actually on the Hill in Ottawa, and Jack Layton is going to, we're taking a live look at this event right now. Jack Layton apparently is going to speak to address his party supporters there on his 5th anniversary as leader of the NDP. With the microphone right now is National Youth Organizer Carole. You can see in the purple suit Olivia Chow, Jack Layton's wife and also fellow MP. So we'll listen into some of this and see how quickly Jack Layton actually takes that microphone to address his supporters. This is happening live in Ottawa.
Je suis heureuse de vous présenter un chef qui a gardé sa promesse depuis 5 ans
for 5 years, a stronger and a fairer Canada with the NDP.
The leader of Canada's NDP, the Honourable Jack Layton.
Thomas. Judy. Salut tout le monde.
Greetings, everyone.
Merci beaucoup.
And thank you so much for your enthusiasm. It's with a great deal of pleasure that I'm here with you all this morning to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the leadership race for the NDP. And first of all, I wish to pay tribute to other members of that race that are still with us. Pierre Ducasse, a member of our team. And 2 extraordinary MPs, the very wise Joe Martin,
and the Dean of the House and Canada's best parliamentarian, Bill Blakey.
I'm very proud. I'm so very proud of being our leader. And when I think about the efforts made by our party over the years, working towards people here.
Watching the American political race with interest, they're debating health care. The NDP, our party, brought health care to Canada years and years ago with Tommy Douglas. And I remember 5 years ago when our party was the only party across Canada saying we should not get involved in George Bush's war in Iraq. Thousands and thousands of people joined us in the streets, and at the end of the day, Canada did not participate in that war. The very first party to raise the issue of climate change and global warming in the House of Commons, the NDP, 25 years ago. So you can see why people are counting on us. Now, we're all coming back here to Parliament Hill after having spent a few weeks back in our ridings all across the country. And I know that you've talked to thousands of people, as I have. And I'm seeing something that is very worrisome. The ordinary families are extremely worried about their future, about their family, about their economic security. The people who drive their kids down to the hockey rink, they're not sure whether they're going to have the kind of job that's going to allow them to build a future for their kids and for the next generations. that they've been able to enjoy. 1,300,000 thrown out of work in the last 3 years in key, well-paying sectors of our economy. And yet we have a government, we've had governments for 20 years that have just waved their hand and said, we're not going to be concerned about that. How many people have we met who needed some home care for the senior in their family? How many people have we met who had to leave their job in order to care for some loved one in their family? How many folks have you talked to, seniors as I have, who are now very worried about their retirement and about their pension and their ability just to get by after they built this country? They're counting on us, I can tell you that. They're counting on us to raise these issues. Or they're talking with their teenagers about their future. And the young people are excited about the prospects of training and education and getting a job and building a family. But yet when they sit back and look at it around the kitchen table, they say, how are we going to afford it? Where are we going to get the child care if we want to start a family? How are we going to pay for that? What happens if we get sick? How many people have we met who can't afford the prescription drugs that their doctor says they need to be well? And they have to put at risk the health of their loved one. It's not right. They're counting on us. And we're going to be there for them. Because that's where we come from too. That's what our party's all about.
We will be fighting for them in the House of Commons each and every day for today's families, for social justice. We want results for our friends, our families, for all families throughout Canada. That's the purpose of our work in the upcoming weeks.
It's not as though people haven't been promised in the past that there would be action on these issues. For 20 years we've heard from governments, we'll make sure your education is there for your kids. They failed. We'll build you childcare and make sure it's available. They failed. We'll protect your healthcare system. We'll keep it public. We'll make sure it's there for you and your family. They failed. Time and time again. We'll take action on the environment. We'll even sign international agreements, and then they turn around and ignore them. They failed. Canadians have a right to have a government and a party that will stand up for them and make sure these things are delivered. Now, it's not as though the governments have not delivered for some. We saw a remarkable example of this just a couple of months ago. In comes the Harper government with the tacit support, the resounding silence of the Liberals, and they brought in a few hours, a $14 billion corporate tax cuts for banks and oil companies. These are the same companies who, when you go to take your own money out of the bank, they're gouging you. Or when you try to pay your phone bill, you see the charges are going up and up. The credit card interest rates through the roof. People are struggling because of these very companies treating them unfairly, and yet we've got a government that shovels more money in their pocket. The big oil and gas companies, you get gouged at the pumps, and meanwhile they're polluting our world through a level of development in those tar sands which is just simply unsustainable. So they've promised us lots in the past, and they've failed, but they've stood up for their friends. Well, it's time for a party that will stand up for the people of this country. The hard-working, middle-class families, the people that are being left behind, the seniors, the young people. That's our party. We've always done that. And that's what we're going to do starting this afternoon.
We're listening live to Jack Layton giving a speech on his 5th anniversary as leader of the federal New Democratic Party, and he was there in the West Block in Ottawa as the House of Commons resumes today, so Parliament is back in session. Stay with us here on CBC News Morning. Much more ahead for you. We're back right after this short break.